Picture this hypothetical scenario like a choose-your-own-adventure novel. You are a 26-year-old punk rocker living in St. Petersburg, Russia. You do a lot of freelance IT work, mostly for Western clients. And you play in a lot of bands: guitar, bass, vox, and even drums, all in various genres of socially inappropriate underground rock. So you're automatically something of a dissident just for the music you play, even if you don't weigh in on politics at all. So when the war breaks out, you keep your head down and try to fly under the radar, because you know there's no point in protesting. They'll just charge you with treason. But your income takes a major hit, because with the sanctions, you lose your best Western clients. Not only can they not pay you because all the payment processors have been cut, it's illegal for them to have anything to do with you at all. Still, you're getting by, and the punk rock scene's going good, and nobody expects the war to last more than a couple of months, and the army's full anyway. But now it's a year and a half later, and there's still no end in sight. You're running out of money, and the army is running out of people. So finally, your draft card arrives. Mother Russia wants you for cannon fodder to soften up the defenders in an illegal invasion. So here comes your first big choice. A. Ignore the draft card and see what happens. B. Fill out the draft card and see what happens. C. Dodge the draft. C1. Dodge the draft and stay put in St. Petersburg and just lay low. C2. Go into internal exile. Send yourself to the gulag. Or C3. Skip the country. You carefully consider each option. A. Ignore the draft. Best possible outcome? Nothing happens. But you'll still be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life, because you never know. If they ever figure out you dodged the draft, they might charge you with treason, or just press you into the military anyway. B. Fill out the draft card and see what happens. Best possible outcome? It's just a formality. You have to fill it out, and they ain't gonna take you for the army anyway. But that's a big gamble, because if you do get drafted, the best possible outcome would be they just send you off for training and you never end up using you for the war, but now you're stuck in the Russian army at the bottom of the pecking order, so you gonna get pecked on. Second best outcome. They send you off someplace near the border, but you never get deployed. So you're stuck there on standby, at the bottom of the pecking order in the Russian military. Never quite sure, because they could send you off into the shit at any time. Third best outcome. They do send you into the shit, but you survive. And every outcome from here on out is game over. C2. Internal exile. Best outcome? They never find you, but now you're stuck in a remote location where you don't know anybody, and you'll still be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. Because if you just show up on the other side of the country, somebody might ask what you're doing there. You're 26, it's obvious you're dodging the draft, and then we're back to square one. C3. Skip the country. This is where it gets interesting, because your options for a direct flight out of St. Petersburg are limited to a handful of former Soviet republics. You cannot go to the former Soviet republics of Latvia, Lithuania, or Estonia, because they're all in the EU, and the EU has walled itself off from Mother Russia, and besides, we ain't playing on easy mode. You can go to number 1, Kazakhstan. They're Russian-speaking allies, but you don't know anyone there and have no idea how you'd get yourself set up and start all over again. 2. Armenia. They're friendly to Russia because Russia supports them in the never-ending conflict over Artsakh, also known as Nagorno-Karabakh. But it's a non-Russian speaking culture with its own cryptic alphabet. You only have a couple of Facebook friends in Yerevan, and you wouldn't be completely free from the specter of war, because the threat of getting invaded by Azerbaijan looms ever present. 3. Georgia. Not friendly to Russia because they've been invaded by Russia on numerous occasions. Fiercely independent culture, unique language with its own cryptic alphabet. But they inexplicably keep the borders open and you're free to travel there, and you've been there before. And Tbilisi's a nice place with a good punk scene where you know a lot of people. So that is where you go. So now you're in Tbilisi, Tiflis, the capital of Sakartvelo, Georgia. A warm place on the Kura River. And you just spent most of your scant savings on a plane ticket just to get there. But, thanks to your connections in the thriving Tbilisi punk scene, you managed to rent a room at a friend of a friend's apartment. And another guy hooks you up with a job at a cafe for cash under the table. Barely enough to pay the rent for the room at the friend of a friend's apartment. So now you're a barista in Tbilisi, where you don't speak the language and can't even read the signs. So you gotta ask, "Govorite po-ruski," or "Do you speak English?" every single time a customer walks in. But to your astonishment, people are generally pretty nice about it. So you're kinda sorta doing alright, but you left your girlfriend and your family behind, and now thousands of people have been pouring into Georgian capital over the past few months. Compatriots who are stuck in the same boat as you are. And the sudden influx of people all desperate to find any kind of place to stay has caused the rents to rise. Because they got you by the short hairs. They can ask for anything. People probably gonna pay it too. So it's fucking up the housing market and the local economy. And that increases the understandably already virulent resentment of the locals toward their new neighbors. And it's understood that you can't stay at this guy's apartment forever. You're gonna have to move out and find your own place soon. So you team up with some fellow draft-dodging punk rockers from Russia, and now you're spending everything you make as a barista just to share a 2-room apartment with 4 other guys. And you miss your girlfriend. She can't afford to fly and visit, and you haven't seen your family in 2 years. But the borders are still open. You can fly back to Petersburg anytime you want. You just can't be sure you won't be instantly arrested upon arrival and pressed into the army, or charged with treason and sent to the gulag. And besides, you're still kinda sorta doing alright in Tbilisi. And the local punk scene is thriving thanks in part to the influx of fellow punk rockers from Russia, all dodging the draft. But there's no end in sight. The war grinds on. No regime change on the horizon, and you're gearing up for the possibility that you will never see home again. Congratulations! You have made it to the best possible outcome of Choose Your Own Adventure 2023. Welcome to Sakartvelo.